The construction of a great temple in honor of a great pharaoh was always a massive undertaking, especially when it came to building a monument for Hatshepsut, who ruled Egypt from 1478 to 1458 BC. Unlike her male counterparts, she had to prove herself not only as a powerful ruler, but also as a divine pharaoh. Her stepson and successor, Thutmose III, erased most records of her reign from official monuments, including her own temple. Despite this, some structures still stand today, and they bear witness to the incredible engineering feats and artistic talents of ancient Egypt. Let's take a closer look at them. Welcome to my channel. Join me as we explore ancient Egypt, lost cities and forgotten civilizations through the remnants they left behind. Viewer discretion is advised for this video, as some of the imagery can be quite graphic. The mortuary temple of Hatshepsut was built during the 18th dynasty at a time when Egypt was prospering. The new kingdom was established under her predecessors, Thutmose I and Thutmose II, and their empire stretched from the Levant to Nubia. It was Amenhotep, Hatshepsut's architect, who chose the location for her temple on the west bank of the Nile, opposite the city of Thebes. There he found a natural colonnade of cliffs that inspired him to build a monumental structure dedicated to his royal patroness. Building a temple in the middle of a desert with no natural shelter would have been too easy. But here, the architects were challenged to work with the landscape. They carved the walls of the temple complex out of the sandstone cliffs, which were originally over 91 feet high, though erosion has reduced their height since then. To achieve this, they first marked the area where the building was to be constructed. Then, a trench was dug all around it and filled with water. This served two purposes. First, it prevented the loose sand from shifting during construction. Second, it allowed the workers to use a more advanced technique, known as gypsum bonding. This method involved mixing gypsum with water and inserting it into holes made in the sandstone. These wet stones were bound together after the gypsum hardened. By using this technique, the engineers could overcome the weakness of sandstone, which is prone to erosion and crumbling. The building project required an enormous amount of manpower, estimated to be around 20,000 workers. These were not slaves, but rather skilled artisans, laborers, and administrators who volunteered or were conscripted for a few months each year. Living quarters were set up nearby for them to stay in while working on the site. Over the course of 8 years, from 1473 to 1465 BC, they created an architectural masterpiece that consisted of 3 main areas: the first and second courts, each divided by a hypostyle hall with columns and a ceiling supported by them, and the third court leading to the sanctuary, or naos. The complex was decorated with reliefs and statues depicting various aspects of Hatshepsut's reign, such as her coronation, military campaigns, and religious ceremonies. The temple was also designed to align with the cardinal points, ensuring that the rising sun would enter each court at dawn during the winter solstice. The mortuary temple was connected to the nearby Deir el-Bahari necropolis by a causeway, a long, straight road lined with pylons or gateways. On either side of the causeway were sphinxes, some with human heads, and others with the heads of the pharaoh's favorite deity, Anubis. The purpose of the causeway was to link the temple with the Valley of the Kings, where the pharaohs were buried. The last section of the approach to the temple was particularly impressive. It featured 2 enormous red granite sphinxes with the body of a lion and the head of Hatshepsut. These guardians flanked the entrance to the first court, which was decorated with scenes from the opening of the first cataract of the Nile River. The river was personified as a goddess holding a flower and wearing a crown. On both sides of the court were 2 obelisks over 100 feet tall, which were the tallest ever built. Unfortunately, one of them fell during an earthquake in the 13th century AD and now lies in the desert below. The second court was entered through a pair of huge doors made of cedar wood. Inside, there were 4 massive pillars with hieroglyphic inscriptions telling the story of how Hatshepsut took the throne after her husband's death and became the mother of Thutmose III. Above the pillars were 3 rows of paintings showing her various activities, such as smiting an enemy, hunting and fishing. From there, the visitor would pass through another gateway into the 3rd court, which was the largest and most elaborate part of the temple. In the center was a chapel with a false door where Hatshepsut, Ska or soul could rest after entering the temple. The walls of the chapel were covered with scenes from her coronation ceremony, where she was shown wearing the traditional white crown of Upper Egypt and holding the crook and flail, symbols of kingship. The temple's design was a bold departure from the traditional T-shaped layout of Egyptian temples. Instead, it resembled a gigantic letter D, which allowed for more wall space for decoration and aligned perfectly with the natural rock formations. The result was a harmonious blend of architecture and nature that celebrated the divine power of the pharaoh. During her reign, Hatshepsut sent trading expeditions to Punt, a mysterious land located south of Egypt in modern Somalia. Although little is known about this country, we know that it produced exotic goods such as incense, ivory, and gold. To commemorate her voyage to this distant land, she built a memorial in the form of a small temple within her mortuary temple. This shrine was dedicated to Amun-Re, the supreme god of the Egyptian pantheon, and it was also where she identified herself as the daughter of the king, linking her legitimacy to the divine right of kings. The temple was decorated with paintings and reliefs depicting various aspects of the journey, such as the arrival in Punt, the reception by foreign rulers, the exchange of gifts, and the return to Egypt. One of the most famous images from these reliefs is that of the incense burning ceremony, which shows how exotic this culture must have seemed to the Egyptians. Hatshepsut was one of the few female pharaohs in Egyptian history, yet she faced many challenges and prejudices during her rule. She had to prove herself worthy of being a pharaoh by performing rituals that were normally reserved for male pharaohs, such as smiting the goddess Isis and wearing the traditional male pharaoh regalia. She also commissioned several monuments that emphasized her divine status, such as the Temple of Karnak, where she identified herself as a successor to the gods, and the Temple of Hathor at Deir el-Bahari, where she was shown as a cow, symbolizing her connection to the divine feminine. However, her successor, Thutmose III, tried to erase her memory from official records because she was a woman, and he wanted to legitimize his claim to the throne. He removed her name and image from many places, including her own temple, which was defaced with graffiti and had its walls used as a rubbish dump. Only a few fragments of her statuary remain today, and most of what we know about her comes from the temple of Deir el-Bahari, which was spared from his wrath. Today, the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut stands as a testament to the ingenuity and artistry of ancient Egypt. Its unique design and exquisite decorations offer a glimpse into the world of one of Egypt's most powerful female rulers. Visitors can still marvel at the towering cliffs that frame the temple, the intricate carvings that adorn the walls, and the massive obelisks that mark the entrance. And although much of it remains buried under the sand, we can still appreciate its grandeur and significance. In conclusion, the construction of a great temple in honor of a great pharaoh was always a massive undertaking. In the case of Hatshepsut, the challenges were even greater because she was a woman who had to prove herself as both a powerful ruler and a divine pharaoh. Her stepson and successor, Thutmose III, tried to erase her memory from official records, but some structures still stand today, and they bear witness to the incredible engineering feats and artistic talents of ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed learning more about the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos about ancient Egypt. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new. If you have any thoughts or comments, please share them below. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time.